able to make predictions. Karl Popper says there's one more condition needed, that the theory should be falsifiable. Right? That you should be able to, there should be a way when you propose a theory, you should also propose a way that how can I falsify that theory? It's kind of counterintuitive, but it's very important. So I usually, when I pick up projects, I tell them there should be a chance of failure. If you are very sure that this project is going to succeed, it's not worth doing. It's no longer an experiment. And in academia, that's what you're trying to learn. So the student, as I said, he was very ambitious. His thesis also was ambitious, but thesis was full semester. He was able to succeed to a reasonable extent. This was the project. While he didn't have much else to do, it was his final semester. But the project itself was ambitious. At the end, we weren't able to get anything out of the project. And he was kind of very disappointed, saying he thought this is probably the limit of his achievements and so on. So I told him a story about it, and he remembered the story. The story is about Dan Knuth. Knuth was a mathematician. He got his undergraduate degree at Caltech and then went on to Stanford to do his PhD as a mathematician. Later on, became an early computer scientist as well. And he, he's one of those people who said he will define everything in computer science, and he's still defining it because the field has grown. He started writing a book, and around 60s, he defined 7 different topics in computer science, and he said he will publish 7 different volumes. And he is now at 3.5, 4 years been published, and the field has grown so much, and I don't think he himself admits that he won't be able to complete it. But the point was that he was, when he was doing his PhD, he was doing his PhD in mathematics in Stanford, and he was working on a problem. I don't remember the exact problem, but the problem had a parameter called lambda, and the problem has been solved for lambda equals 2, and he was trying to generalize it. That was his PhD problem. He spent 3-4 years, he wasn't making any progress, and one fine day there was a visitor in his department, and the visitor was a friend of his advisor, so the advisor asked him to be with him and shepherd him around the campus and so on and so forth. And so the advisor was also working in the friend of the advisor was also working in a similar area, so they have a few conversations. And while doing this, that visitor talks about some unknown problem that he was working on. Then he goes away. At that night, the Knuth sits down and tries to solve the problem. In 2 hours, he solves it. Okay. And that was something the visitor was struggling to solve. So next day morning, he goes to his advisor and very excited says that your friend, was describing about this problem, has solved this. So his advisor says, done, your PhD. This is your PhD. And so for a moment he was surprised. He spent 4 years on something else, and now his advisor says, you solved the problem you had yesterday, this is your PhD, go away. Because this is Stanford, there's no rules like that, so it's fine. So his advisor is told submit the PhD, then anyway he was not making progress with his original problem. He submits he submits the thesis and goes away, but he was unhappy with his advisor. Like, overnight, how can you say that this is a new problem, you solved it, this is a PhD, go. But now he credits his advisor because the problem he was originally trying to attempt is still unsolved. Okay, so he says, okay, fine, he at least knew that the problem is not so easily solved. I would have, if I persisted with him, I would still not have his PhD and forget about the rest of the career. So, so I gave this example. So at the time, he didn't, as happened with Dan Knuth, he didn't appreciate it. He was still, going back to the we have kind of reached our limit and maybe we should have gotten help, whatever. So now he says, fine, so he went back to some other problem, the thesis problem. It's been, 3-4 years. Now he appreciates that, okay, he's still trying to solve this problem, he's not able to crack this, but he's doing better with the other problem. So he says, this is something I learned while failing on something. So this is, I think, just a compliment. not much in there too in terms of this, but this person actually spent a lot of one-on-one time with me. Usually, for every project student, I'll give a 45-minute, time per week, one class slot or something like that. Most of the students don't have anything to say in that 50 minutes, 45 minutes. So 15 minutes, the meeting is over. So I get a lot of fragmented plots. But this person, he will come prepared for that 45 minutes and usually ask for 1 more hour and usually come with a lot of things, ask questions. So he spent a fair amount of one-on-one time. That obviously helps, but our teacher-student ratio is so skewed that I end up taking, even now I've been taking now last semester I was not here, on the average I've been taking a dozen students every year. And that's really high amount. I cannot, in some ways, since students don't come prepared, I'm able to manage that. Okay? Because if I have to actually guide 12 projects, it's very difficult, right? I can make a problem. There's plenty of problems as it happens. This computer science is exploding so much. I can make a problem. That's not difficult. But actively guiding this 12 projects is difficult. And usually only maybe 3 or 4 students are really active. Rest of them don't require that much time from me. Although I give them 45 minutes a week, they don't use that much time. But people who actually spend benefit a lot. Okay, and this is the slightly different one. So her classes do matter for some at least. So I usually warn the students, particularly second year students who don't know, who haven't understood. The first year is kind of very packaged. So when they come to second year, I tell them, well, attendance is optional and you can probably study the course on your own and get a good enough grade. Okay. The intent was to say that, okay, that's not what you're coming to class for. But that gets lost. Most of them don't understand that. So the student is probably one of those who understood this. And he said, attending your classes taught me that getting a good grade and actually learning something is not necessarily synonymous. Okay, so I'm glad that he learned that. So there's a very old saying that you can choose to whether you want to be famous or not, but you can't decide what you are famous for. Okay, so this student was, not to make fun of him, but he was very intelligent, but I don't think he ever went to a class. And so, most of the people would comment that he looks stoned all the time. But I don't know whether it's true, but, so he was very good. And it so happens he did his undergraduate degree elsewhere and came to master's at BITS. And he had not done the data structures, he had not done the algorithms course elsewhere, but then when he was sitting for campus interviews, he realized that this is something that he has to crack. So, and he used to be a project assistant those days, which meant that they were working in one of the labs as administrators. So he was an administrator at IPC, admin at IPC, where he was maintaining machines, and I used to sit in that lab. So I knew him well, and he would ask questions, he would have discussions on whatever he was reading, and then on the day before campus interview, he came to me and said that I heard all the campus interviews, they're asking data structures questions, algorithms questions, I'm not studying this topic. So what do I do? So I gave him a crash course, and now he says that I passed the interview from that. Now I'm worried about the company. So the interview was designed so that he can pass it over. But student don't do well because he's brilliant, but company has to worry about that. So okay, so kind of gone around all the turns. This is the last turn. So I'm kind of doing this for multiple reasons. One of them will be revealed as a comment from a student, and the topic is for the love of the game. So out of all these people, they had comments. One of the students gave a suggestion about what I should talk here, and therefore I am taking that literally. He says what all the students should know, the last lecture is do what you love. Okay, and then he added a comment. I'm not revealing that, but it was personal. So he was saying that while people associate with this part with a young student, Okay, so professors also can do what they love. That is kind of what the comment is. It is with respect to my situation, but fine. So I want to put it out. So because he said all students should know, and that's true. Okay, so I mean, this is a distinction. It doesn't mean you should sit here and waste your time thinking about what you love. You do what you love. So you have to, but you have to climb up the rope as well. So there's a quote from a venture capitalist of all people. There was a discussion in IISc long time back. They had a panel discussion on this emerging trend. This was emerging trend 10 years ago, not now. That students starting their own companies. Okay, and so one of the students said they had a panel discussion. Faculty members, the people from industry, and a few venture capitalists were there, or one or two venture capitalists were there. And one of the students stood up and asked, should I quit my undergraduate degree and start a company? He was thinking of starting a company and should I quit? So everybody had different answers, right? You make your judgment, it's your personal thing. And this guy, the venture capitalist, he understands finance. He had a very interesting, real world, or a very pragmatic approach to it. He said that if you're climbing a mountain, you use ropes to climb, you tie knots. So you tie knots because when you fall down, you'll get trapped at the knot, so you won't fall all the way. So there are two approaches. One, you can keep tying a knot every 2 feet, okay, so that you never fall too much. Okay. Or you can go to the other end and tie only one knot. If you fall all the way. So he said that there has to be a bimedia. So apply that in the context. Basically, he was saying that get your undergraduate degree, then worry about startups. Not that you don't quit your undergraduate degree. At least you have one degree. Then you worry about startups and so on. But I'm kind of extrapolating that was the context and that was his answer. But kind of extrapolating that and said, do what you love always, but then have some knot somewhere so that in case you fall, the knot catches. So to enlarge on that, I'm going to give you a story. So to end on a lighter note, I don't know how many of you have heard of Michael Jordan. He was a great basketball player. So in 1984, he was the leader of the team, basketball team in his University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And they won the championships, college championship, basketball championship. So he got drafted in the NBA. NBA as basically a model of selecting people like Premier League does today, IPL. Not with auctions, but teams select based on the amount of money they have. He was drafted in the NBA for a multi-million-dollar contract. This is 1980s. Multi-million-dollar contract was huge those days. And it was unusual. I don't think any basketball player had been rated that high when they were drafted. So he got drafted by Chicago Bulls. And after a year or so, the second season, he gets injured. Right? Recovers after, the basketball season is very long. They play like 85, 84 league games and then there are playoffs. So he loses some 20-30 games, recovers, but the club says that they don't want to risk their valuable player because they've already lost 30 games, you're going to lose this season. Right? So they lost 30 out of 80 games because he was not there, he was the best player. The club says, okay, I don't want to risk him now because we have paid multi-million-dollar contract. The chance of winning the championship this year is lost. So they said, bench, sit in the bench. You will not play anymore the rest of the year, so we'll pay you next year. But he gets restless, young guy, right? Just out of college, and he wants to play now, but he can't do anything. In the contract, these contracts are like ownership contracts. They own you, the player contract. In IPL, it doesn't come out as that way, but it's true. The contracts have so many classes, you can do this, you can't do this, and so on. So the club determines who gets to play and who doesn't get to play. So they bench him, he gets restless. Now, he wants to play, but he can't play. Now, university for which he had played earlier, in the summer they were having some exhibition games. They invite him to play because he's an alumni. And his representative, there's the manager who manages the players. He says, no, you can't go. Okay. Because your contract says you can't do anything with basketball, you can't play basketball without the permission of your club. and the club is going to say no. They didn't play you in your NBA matches. There's money. They're not going to let you play for some, exhibition matches that do, in your university. He says, no problem. I'm going, and he goes and plays. They try to sue him, right? The club wants to sue him. They're reading the contract. They found out that when the contract was signed, he insisted to his lawyer to put in a clause saying that anything I do for the love of the game should not violate my contract. Just that, it's absolutely stunning nowadays. Nowadays it's not, because there's a movie called Love of the Game, and there's so many things going out, and people use it regularly today. So in those days, for somebody who's fresh out of the college, and he has not studied law, he's just a basketball player, and most of his studies are, focused on just getting out of the college because he wants to be a basketball player. For him to think about this and tell his lawyer took it lightly. Lawyer didn't know. He's a highly valuable player. He's got a multi-million-dollar contract. I will write a contract he wants. The lawyer didn't think about it. And the club guys didn't think about it. Club guys thought this is a joke. Okay? So they were worried about what happens when he gets injured, what happens if he quits in the middle, what happens if he gets drunk, and all those kind of issues, right? That's what lots of players get to. So they were worried about all of that. This clause, nobody noticed. And when they tried to sue him, they realized they can't sue him. They're stuck with that for the rest of the contract. He can go play wherever he wants, as long as he loves the game. So, and that's a very powerful message. Right? And he did love the game. He eventually wrote a book called Love the Game. And subsequently, after a few years, he led his team to 6 NBA championships, 6 different years, and he's rated as greatest of all time basketball players. And not only that, Nike designed Air Jordans, which I think all of us, the Air brand, out of his name. Right? They were called Air Jordans because he can jump and shoot at the same time. So when you click a photo, it looks like he doesn't have any weight. So he's floating like air. And that was, Nike minted money. Before that, Nike was none of the mill. Okay. And this, they used this advertisement. He wears the Air Jordan shoes and jumps. And that was their primary advertisement for several years. And they minted money. Okay. But all that story aside, since my students said everybody should know, do what you love. And this is what it means, that you kind of love your game is ingrained into what you do. And I also did it for political reasons, because I've been getting a lot of questions by our TV. Okay. My game is not basketball, so my game is something else, but I love what I do. Done.